Hello everyone and welcome to the ReVue YouTube channel. My name is Mike and today I'm going to be talking to you about a product that I received for review from a company called CamKix. Now this is the 4-in-1 lens kit for mobile phones, and this specific model is for the Samsung Galaxy S8, which is the handset that I'm using. CamKix are a company that deal with small accessories for things like drones and cameras and GoPros and all that kind of stuff, and they reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to review the lens kit that they offer. So I'm going to pop it up on top of the Zion Smooth 4 gimbal case, which will be coming in another review, just so that we can show you what we've got. So inside the box, it comes in a nice hard cardboard box. Inside the box you receive a couple of different things. So this kit is actually for both the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. So you receive a case for the S8, which is this one here, and the S8 Plus, which is this one here. They're quite straightforward and come with a textured sort of back and the CamKix logo at the bottom, and they are clip-on cases with cutouts for the camera, the heart rate sensor and all of the other bits that are along the side, including the flash, and then your fingerprint scanner on the right. I'll show you how this goes on shortly, but let's just have a look at what else is in the box. You receive the two cases. You receive a very simple tripod with a 1/4-inch jack on the top with extendable legs so that you can move it up and down different heights, and it is a ball joint that you unscrew here and it allows you to move around. The tripod itself screws into the mounts to lock it in place. Can't say much more about that. You also receive a bag to keep everything in. You receive a nice microfibre CamKix cloth for keeping everything clean, various bits and bobs of bags. And then we get to the good stuff. So you receive these two lenses here, which I'll show you in a little more detail shortly, and then this big lens here, which is the 12x telephoto lens. So on the side of the box here it mentions that we receive a macro lens, a wide angle lens, a telephoto 12x and a fisheye lens. So let me dive down and show you a little bit more about how these work. So here we have the kit with the various things spread out on the table with the S8 and the S8 Plus cases. We have the two different lenses. We have the 12x telephoto lens and the tripod that comes with the kit. To put the case on, you literally just clip your phone in and it's into place, and on the back you have the camera cutout. You have a thread in that camera which allows you to screw this thread into the case itself to line it up perfectly with the camera lens of the Galaxy S8. Take the cap off the end and you have your lens attached to the case. To tighten it on, you screw this one on clockwise and anti-clockwise to remove it, and then with this smaller wide angle it's actually a dual lens that you screw on clockwise and then screw further to take the first layer off, and then you're left with one of the macro lenses. The other lens also has a macro, but you just screw that one off in the normal function to get the macro lens there too. You screw it back on itself and it removes the case. The 12x lens is obviously quite a lot bigger, but it does the same principle whereby it screws into the case, and once it's screwed in place you have this metal ring that goes around the body of the camera with a 1/4-inch in the bottom. So you screw your tripod into the 1/4-inch on the metal ring, and that way you can stabilize the footage with the 12x lens on there, because it is quite heavy and it's quite big. So this allows you to set it up on a tripod so that you can line that shot up, because at 12x zoom the tiniest little movement will actually shake your photo around and makes it quite difficult for you to actually take a photograph of something. So there you have the kit broken down. All in all it's quite well built, to be honest with you. The threads are smooth on the lenses and the cases fit surprisingly well considering they're pretty basic, pretty thin cases. but I quite like that, to be honest with you. I don't really like having such a bulky case on my phone. You've probably seen in the video then that I do actually just have a skin on the phone, but this case is not too bad. I can't use it all the time, unfortunately, because I use the fingerprint scanner quite a lot on my phone, and unfortunately this case does stop you from using the fingerprint scanner. I don't know if it's just my fingers, but I can't get through to it, unfortunately. The other thing that is not the best of quality is the tripod. It's quite a basic, cheap tripod. It's okay for just using very, very basic. It does have the extendable legs, but they don't actually lock in place at all. So too much weight and it's just going to push straight back down again. And I don't really want to tighten it down too much because it's quite flimsy feeling and it's going to potentially snap. But I've got other tripods that I can use. At a push, I would use this, but it's not my favourite thing about the kit. Now let's talk about the quality of the photographs, because that's really what you're buying this kit for, is the lenses. So first of all, let's look at the FishEye lens. So the FishEye lens obviously gives the photo a spherical feel to it, like a fishbowl or a fish's eye, and it adds black around the edges and basically brings everything into like a ball type situation. So this one here is the FishEye. So it's the larger of the two lenses, and it is FishEye when you have both sections screwed on. So as I mentioned earlier in the other part of the video, you can unscrew this one too, and it gives you another macro. So it isn't mentioned in the kit, but it works quite well as a macro, but it is you don't need to be quite as close to the subject to receive macro-like qualities with this, really. But for the FishEye, it is screwed in and you receive pictures like this. Here's a photograph that I took in Delamere Forest. As you can see, it gives you the spherical effect of everything and almost makes the trees look like they're bending in towards the middle. It does give you a black area around the outside of the photograph and gives you the fisheye or fishbowl type of effect. You can see that it's a little bit blurry around the edges at some points, and it's not the sharpest of pictures, but it does give quite a cool effect. This is a fisheye that I took in my kitchen as well. It's a bit sharper than the last one because it took a bit more time to line it up, but you can still see that the edges are a little bit blurred. Next of all, we have the wide angle, which is the other smaller lens when the two things are screwed together. So as I said, to unscrew this, you basically screw it clockwise. So as you're screwing it into the body of the case, you can just turn it a little bit further and it will allow you to get the macro lens out. It can be quite annoying when you're just trying to tighten it down and use the wide angle, because you can almost accidentally unlock the macro side of things, but it's not a huge issue to screw it back on. So the wide angle is two parts here, and when they're screwed together, it will give you image quality with a wider angle on the lens. So you'll take in more either side of the photograph. So I'll put a comparison here of without wide angle and with wide angle taken from the same spot, so you can see the difference in what can actually be brought in on the lens. First of all, we've got the regular Galaxy S8 camera. You can see it takes in quite a lot of information on the photograph, but as we clip across to the wide angle now, you'll notice that more of the wall and the hedge are taken in. Again, unfortunately, it does slightly blur the edges of the photograph, but not a huge amount. The next one we'll look at is the macro. So it's the one that is on the FishEye lens we'll look at first. So this is the almost further away macro, so you don't need to be right on top of the subject. So you can take things from a little bit further away and still get a macro effect, but it's not quite as zoomed in. This is the further away macro used on a £5 note in the UK. It's quite cool because you can see all the detail in the ink. I then go to a 20p piece and you can see that I'm quite a bit further away than I was on the last one, and it still retains its focus, which is good, and it gives you the detail of the 20p piece. And then finally, we will take a look at the smaller macro lens. So this is the one that is part of the wide angle that you unscrew. You need to be very, very close to your subject, but you can get some phenomenal results if you get this right. So this is so far has probably been my favourite lens, and I will put a few photos in here of the things that I've managed to get with it. And there's one in particular that I really, really like, and I'll tell you about that when it comes up. So this one is the same 20p piece that I took a photograph of before, and as you can see, I'm much, much closer, and it shows much, much more detail in the 20p itself. The edges are blurred, but with a macro, it doesn't really matter too much. I then go over to a bud that was in some flowers that I had in my house, which again, the edges are blurred, but it almost gives a bokeh effect on this and shows you the little hairs that are on the actual buds of the plant, which I think looks superb. And then we move on to my favourite. This was a live fly that I managed to get a photograph of in my kitchen, and the results are tremendous. It did take me a little while to get this shot, but I'm so happy with it, and the detail is phenomenal. Again, it blurs out the edges, but the main focus of the fly I got in superb detail. Then we'll take a little look at the telephoto lens. Now, this is the big boy in the packet, which is this one here. It does have the ring built into it so that you can stabilize it on the tripod, and then it also rotates for you to focus. So when you're, depending on where your subject is within the range of view, you can focus in to make sure that you're as sharp as possible. Photographs on this are quite difficult to get, to be honest with you, because 12 times zoom is quite far. So I've not really had a situation where I wanted to take a 12 times zoom, and I've almost taken the photos just for this purpose and not really been needing to take any pictures, but you'll see here some samples of that 12 times zoom. The first footage is taken with just the Samsung Galaxy S8 camera at maximum zoom. As you can see, it loses an awful lot of quality when it reaches that far, and you lose quite a lot of detail in the leaves. The next image was taken with the 12 times zoom, and although it does give you a better photo, it's still not superb as it blurs out quite a lot of the edges. You need to focus with the ring to make sure that you get a good picture, but it does have its limitations. So now that you've seen the footage of the different lenses, I'm going to give my opinion on what I think of this kit. And this was given to me for the purpose of this review, but it's not going to affect the results of my opinion. I do like the kit, but there's a few things that I would change. Now, if I was going to change them, I would imagine it's going to push the price up a little bit. And this kit is not particularly expensive. I think in the UK it's around about £25 on Amazon. And then in the US it's probably somewhere similar in dollars. But the first thing I would change is this tripod is just not good at all. It's great that they've included something, because otherwise people are going to be shaking when taking their telephoto photos. But yeah, it's cheap, it's nasty, and if you're going to get rid of anything from the kit straight away, I would recommend getting rid of this tripod. It will do the job in a push, but it's not for me. There's much better tripods out there for not a lot of money. We'll move on to the cases. The cases are great. Really like the way that they clip on, and they're not difficult to get on or off. They are quite thin, so I don't know how many on and offs you're going to get before they break, but I've had it on and off maybe 10-15 times now, and it doesn't feel like it's going to break at all. I like the way it clips into place. I like the feel of it. It gives it a nice texture, but I don't like that it blocks off the fingerprint scanner. That's just for me personally. I don't know if that's the same with everybody, but I can't use the fingerprint scanner. Yes, I've got the face unlock on my S8, but we all know it's not the best in the world, so I often use the fingerprint scanner. I like the fact that they give two cases, so they give you both the S8 and the S8 Plus. They possibly could have saved a little bit of money by just providing you with the one you needed, because realistically I don't know anybody who owns both the S8 and the Plus, but they're there. We'll move on to the lenses. So first of all, with the lenses, I love the fact that they all come with their own lens caps as well, because the tiniest little scratch on this is going to cause you major issues on the lens. So I think that's a really good thing that they've included the lens caps with them. We'll look first at the FishEye. So we'll go in order that I showed you the photographs. The FishEye is not bad. It gives you a cool effect, but it does blur the edges quite a bit. With a FishEye though, the subject tends to be in the middle of the photograph. So therefore, I quite like the effect that it gives, and I will use this lens. The wide angle provides a pretty good picture and a good wide angle of view, but the fact that it blurs the edges does annoy me a little bit. When we've got panoramic modes on cameras now. I don't know if this is necessarily required. It could be quite good for videography if you wanted to take blog videos or even just a video of scenery, but I can't help but get annoyed by the blurring of the edges. The larger of the two macros I do like. Again, it does tend to blur slightly, so if you're trying to get a whole subject in the image, you're going to lose a little bit of quality, but I do like the fact that from a larger gap between you and the subject, you can still get a pretty crystal clear image in macro mode. For me, the full style macro is by far the standout lens of this kit, and the image quality when you're very, very close to the subject is incredible. It's going to be difficult to get some shots, but when you do, you end up with something as good as this. The telephoto isn't bad. For the distance that we're covering there, which is probably 200 meters, it is keeping quite a lot of the detail in the photo. It's not my favorite to use just as it's quite difficult to line up the shot, but I'm sure there'll be an application where it does yield a better photo than a digital zoom. And then finally, we'll talk about the price. I've almost touched on this a little bit, but it's not designed to be a DSLR lens kit. It is not £1,000 worth of glass. It's a basic kit for a camera phone, and it's quite reasonably priced considering what you get within that kit for your price. I will link down to Amazon in the description so you can see what the current pricing of it is, but all in all, it's quite cheap, really, when you think about what you get in. The fact that it screws into the actual case is great because a lot of other lenses just clip on. It reminds me a little bit of the Moment lenses, albeit not as expensive and unfortunately not as good. But it's a great benefit, it's a great in-between for those people that just want to add in a little bit extra to their photography, but they don't really want to shell out too much. Now, would I buy this kit with my own money? Yes, I would, unless the prime focus of the kit was this 12x zoom, because this is not brilliant, to be honest with you. And I understand that it's coming from a mobile phone and it's never going to be a 300mm DSLR lens. It's never going to be a specific lens for long range shots. It will allow you to take a clearer photograph than just digitally zoomed. However, you're not going to be winning any awards for it. If we take that out and we're looking at the macro, the wide angle and the fisheye, they're actually really good. I've gone into detail about what's good and what's bad about the actual images, but I'm overall very happy with the way that those lenses have performed, and I would buy the kit again for those alone. So yes, I would buy this kit depending on what your needs are. If you want something which is professional grade, this isn't for you. If you want something to just add a little bit more to your photos, give you a bit of a wide angle, it's a great kit. It's a really, really good kit. I'm very, very happy with it. So as I said, this was given to me by CamKix. They very kindly allowed me to review this for the channel. So thank you very much to CamKix. I'll put a link down to their website as well at the bottom, and you can look at all the various things that they do. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please give this video a like. We're looking to build the channel, and give the channel a subscribe if you like what you see. We're going to try and get some more videos out as quickly as we can. I've got a few things to review, one of them being the Zion, however you want to pronounce it, smooth forward gimbal that we've got here. And then there's a few other little bits as well. So subscribe to the channel, let me know your thoughts, and as I said, leave any questions in the comments below. Thank you very much.